present this bill to you today. For the record, I am Beth Dolio. I represent the 22nd Legislative District, which you are all sitting in. In the Washington State 2021 energy strategy, the projected growth of data centers that we're seeing today was really not accounted for, and many of our laws are based on that plan. And it is true that we are already successfully hosting a number of data centers, particularly in Representative Ibarra's district. And communities are reaping the benefits of the family wage construction jobs, the new community assets, and the multitude of benefits and convenience that come from the technology that these centers support. But 5 years later, here we are 5 years later, the trajectory has completely changed. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman has said, quote, "I do guess a lot of the world gets covered in data centers over time." And, quote, "Our vision is simple. We want to create a factory that can produce a gigawatt of new AI infrastructure every week." That's quite ambitious, just like Washington State's climate and clean energy goals. Now, the governor responded to this by forming a data center task force, and I really appreciate all of the stakeholdering that went on in 2025 on this topic. One of the things that came out of that of that task force was that they unanimously agreed that a fundamental tenet moving forward is to uphold our clean energy and climate goals as a state. And we're lucky. Our homegrown companies here, Amazon and Microsoft, have set their own ambitious climate goals that really mirror what Washington State is set out to do. Across this nation, state legislators are grappling with the possibilities of significant new demands on our grid, our water, and our communities. And these policies seek to protect ratepayers by ensuring new data centers are picking up the whole tab for new growth, protect against stranded assets, ensure grid reliability, that we count on the highly trained skills of Washington's unionized workforce, and that there is transparency about the water and energy use, especially important in this state given our treaty obligations with our tribes to protect fish populations.
Call here at the Yakama Nation, sit on particularly our energy committee here at the Tribal Council. On behalf of Yakama Nation, we are pro. We also submit a specific testimony for review and records, as well as Yakama Nation findings and recommendation to Data Center Task Force. The testimony provides details about the bill, including the many important provisions that we support. I'll focus this morning on areas where legislation could be improved. The new electricity generating resources that will be built to serve new data centers will cost billions of dollars. The original Section 3E of this section on requirements for tariffs and policies require data centers to pay real-time electricity costs to protect consumers and provide price signals to maximize energy efficiency at data centers. The new language requires the pricing structures to reflect causation system conditions, which may include real-time pricing or dynamic pricing mechanisms. Please consider clarifying the pricing through long-term power purchase contracts that must also include the cost causations. We're concerned that some existing contracts might not provide the correct price signals. We'd also like to see a report to provide evidence that will not affect watershed conditions, including stream flows for natural species, temperature, pollution, would not affect local municipal water sources, and also account for existing overallocation and climate change projections showing reduced snowpack, early runoff, and cumulative impacts of all water and uses on treaty protected fisheries. Thank you for your time, Chair Dillon and members of the Environment.
The Climate Change Authority, it recommended a 65 to 75% range for the climate target for Australia federally. That then was cut to 62 to 70% on the basis of transition risks, which explicitly included this significant growth of data centres. So they recognised it as something which radically reduced the climate targets. In New South Wales, the Net Zero Commission must be looking and going, well, this is a real problem for us as well. We ought to be sounding the alarm, or we're not going to meet our legislative targets. Is that not something that's within the functions?
The committee, my name is Ben Avery. I'm the state director of the Sierra Club, a grassroots environmental organization here in the state with 78,000 members and supporters. I'm here today on behalf of all of those members to speak strongly in support of House Bill 2515. This is sensible, grounded legislation puts in place critical financial safeguards to protect families and small businesses from rate hikes, ensures our clean energy goals are met, and brings much needed transparency on energy and water use. Data centers are not just another large load customer. They're extraordinary energy demand, even rivaling major utilities, tendency to cluster geographically, speculative development profile, and their need for major transmission and distribution upgrades makes them a fundamentally higher risk for Washington's ratepayers and environment. This is not a partisan approach. The first movers on effective large load tariffs have been in states like Ohio, Indiana, Kansas, and Missouri. Thank you for supporting this bill.
Data centers were responsible for 63% of last year's price increase.
We saw customers with bills $900, over $1,000. It's unfathomable that they are having to pay higher rates to support wealthy corporations building data centers.
We think that data centers should pay for their energy-related costs, including that infrastructure on the utility side, and make sure that is not passed along to other ratepayers. I also know that grid reliability is really important to you, and so for that reason, we think that we want to make sure data centers aren't making our grid less reliable and don't exacerbate emergencies. So that's why we're really supportive from a transparency perspective. We would like to see reporting on energy use, for example, so that we know how our energy grid can be impacted and that we can stay on track with our clean energy goals. And to reach these goals, we have to make sure that we have a reliable grid, and that means accurate resource forecasting. And this bill will help us better understand data center demand and ensure we are aligned there. So thank you for your consideration and look forward to continue working with you on this.
Good morning, Chair Shoemake and members of the committee. My name is Zach Baker. I'm the Regional and State Policy Director for the Northwest Energy Coalition. I'm here today to testify in strong support of SB 6171. The bill would put critical affordability and environmental protections in place in the face of projected data center growth. The Governor's Data Center Work Group convened last year, which I was a member of, surfaced the rapidly growing data center challenge and identified the need for legislative solutions. It's now on the legislature to take swift and comprehensive action to address this pressing issue. Data centers provide unique challenges and require specific regulation. The electricity demands of individual data centers are already large and are expected to grow exponentially. As an industry, data centers are expected to be the largest source of electricity load growth in the region, with the most rapid growth expected over the next few years. And there's a lot of uncertainty and speculation around that growth, leading to significant risks. Recognizing the challenges data centers present, utilities and jurisdictions across the country are taking action. It's now Washington's time to act. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Shoemake, members of the committee. My name is Caitlin Kren. I'm the Climate and Clean Energy Director at Washington Conservation Action. Washington Conservation Action has been a leading political and policy voice for the environment in our state for nearly 60 years. We're testifying today in strong support for this bill. The explosion of data center growth in this country has led to the largest increase in electricity demand across the United States in nearly 2 decades. Washington's already home to over 100 data centers. That's the 10th most of any state. And on top of that, there's a potential for huge growth in the sector in coming years. This massive growth presents economic opportunity that many of the testifiers have spoken to. It also poses new challenges to make sure we can safeguard the reliability of our grid, prevent rate hikes on electric bills, keep our clean energy transition on track, and protect salmon, water, and clean air. 6171 provides common sense protections to ensure that these massive facilities pay their fair share and don't throw Washington families and businesses under the bus. As data center growth accelerates across the country, we cannot afford to delay on the core protections that this bill provides. The Environmental Priorities Coalition and Washington Conservation Action strongly support 6171 and thank Chair Shoemake for all her work to develop this very comprehensive bill. We look forward to continued work throughout the session and supporting passage this year.